when the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality. Open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC.
Woo! Welcome, DLC book blah blah blah. Can't speak, but I can dance, and hopefully you are as well. It's time to dance. It's time, ladies and gentlemen, to crack open those books once again and join the DLC book club. I'm Jeff Kanata. I'm joined by Lana Bashinsky. Hi, Lana.
Hello. Apologies, everyone who watches the video version of this for my weird posture. I've officially moved to Seattle. But
Congratulations.
Thank you. I've officially not upgraded my remote podcasting setup, which, TBD.
Well, you've moved to Seattle. All of your worldly possessions, however,
yes,
not quite there yet.
No, they're taking their sweet time. All of my things will be here in 2 weeks. But I've got a couple background changes between then and now. So it'll be an adventure. I'll take you around all the places I've lived. Long Beach, Seattle, Canada. It's going to be great.
Well, congratulations on that. I know it's
a
weird process, but my goodness, I'm excited we're here because we are doing it. We're starting book 3 of the Malazan Books of the Fallen. It's Memories of Ice Time.
Mm-hmm.
First, I want to say a huge thank you to all the folks that left nice comments on our interview with Mr. Steven Erikson last week, which was so much fun, and people have been so kind in their comments. So thank you all for checking that out and for commenting. It was so cool to be able to hang out with him a little bit, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again in the future. But we have a major new book to start. But first, we always like to start each of these episodes with a non-spoiler topic. If you're not up to date with our read-along of the Malazan Books of the Fallen, maybe something you can still enjoy on these videos. And this week, I wanted to ask you about rereading, because we know that these books in particular, the Malazan Books of the Fallen, are really reward rereads. And many of the most ardent fans of the series talk about rereading all these 10 books multiple times over and over and over again and getting new things out of them. I think that is super cool for this particular series. But I wanted to ask you in general, are you somebody that rereads your favorite books? Do you go back to things and reread in general?
In general, no, but there's been literally, I think, 2 book series in my past of reading that I read more than once. One was this book series that I read in high school that I've been meaning to reread again to see if I was just like a teenager who was like, yeah, this is like adult reading, or if they're actually good, because I read them 6 or 7 times and I have all the plot points in my brain. And by the time you read them that many times, back to back, these 6 chunky fantasy novels. And I'm I just had them basically memorized. I felt like I could speed read through them. I just tear through them over and over and over again. But I don't know if they're actually good. Those books, there's the Wayfarer Redemption series by Sarah Douglas. And the other book that I read twice, almost 3 times, was the Name of the Wind.
Oh yeah,
first 2
Patrick Rothfuss
books. Patrick Rothfuss, because I read the books and then I read for the first time ever the partner guide. And then I was like, oh, that's so interesting that somebody pulled all these pieces out. Probably a lot of the experience a lot of people are having with the Malazan books right now, and then going back and rereading them and picking up those details. So typically no, but twice. Yes.
Well, what was it about? I mean, was it just sort of a function of being young and loving a thing you love? And what was it that made you want to reread those other books again and again and again?
I don't know. It had like it was a fantasy series, and it had all the great things and that are in a fantasy series, like cool characters, interesting magic, epic battles, little flirty flirts. It had like a lot of it like hit all these interesting things that I was excited about, like cool enemies that they described. These sort of Yeti things with like these silver globes for eyes that they would puncture to kill them because otherwise they were impenetrable. It was like, ooh,
rad.
Gross, cool. Like I just loved that world. And I often describe ending a series and feeling like I mourn it. Like I'm so sad that there's not more time for me to spend in this world. So I think it was more that it was one of the first big times that I felt like I was mourning a book that was over. And I was like, well, I'm not ready to go yet. Let's take it from the top.
That's interesting. So do you remember like trying other books and going, they're not scratching the itch. I'm just going to go back to the ones I know do scratch the itch.
No,
it was that just process, or was it just
a loop?
Just a loop?
Just on repeat. I do the same thing with music, I'm like, that song was great. Let's hear it 50 more times.
I guess
what about you?
I tend to, I think even back when I was young and sort of in that phase that you're describing, I think I was always already even conscious of the fact that there were more things than time, And I think, because I've described to you numerous times on the show already, this weird process that I got into even as a young kid of, I was gifted at a very young age, like way too young to appreciate them. I was gifted the entire set, hardback set of the Hardy Boys, like 30 volumes or whatever it was. Nuts. It was just a huge hardback. I read maybe a half of one of them. Just couldn't have been less interested in the Hardy Boys.
Yeah.
But I took those and went to, there used to be this thing called used bookstores.
Oh my gosh.
I know they still exist, but they're rare. Anyway, I took that entire set and went to this used bookstore at a certain age and got this, like, at the time seemed to be an unusable credit. Just a monstrous credit for the used bookstore. And so I had, used books. I bought these paperbacks, like a Stephen King paperback for like, $250.
Yeah.
And I had like $70 in credit or something insane, So it was like, it was just never going to be used up.
Infinite money.
Yeah. I would have, I've described to you before, I would get all these books from the used bookstore. And then I would spend hours like lining them up on my bed as to which order I was going to read them in. Like, ooh, no, okay,
so funny.
Definitely this one first, but like maybe that one or that one next. So I would plan it all out. And that process never really allowed for rereading. That was just like, I got to move forward. There's always more stuff. There's always more credit I can spend at the used bookstore to get another book to try.
Yeah, but how many times did you reread the titles?
Many times. I have reread a few books in my time. I mentioned to Mr. Erikson last week that one of the first books that I got into as a kid was the Foundation novels by Isaac Asimov. I reread those a couple of times, just as in different phases of my life. And I think I reread Ender's Game right before the movie came out, which was like, that was a waste of time because that movie was terrible.
Books a couple of times. That movie was unbelievably bad.
Yeah.
What a shame.
Yeah.
But I did reread those as well, now that you mention it.
Yeah. And I think I read all of Song of Ice and Fire, and then I also listened to the audiobook because the guy who does the audiobooks for Song of Ice and Fire is fantastic. He's awesome. So I was training for a run, and I was like, I'm going to listen to the Song of Ice and Fire. This is like before the TV show was even on. So anyway, but it's very rare. But I'm kind of like that across all media. Like I don't rewatch movies because there's always another movie I want to see. There's always another thing that like, well, I know how I felt about, even if I don't remember the specifics of the thing, I remember how I felt about the thing. So I feel like I've registered that experience somewhere. What I haven't done is the thing that I feel fans of this series do, which is reread specifically to get new things out of it. I've never really approached books in that way. And maybe that's a fault of mine. Maybe it would have been a richer experience rereading a whole variety of books that I've read once. I don't know.
Well, you mentioned with the foundation, you went back to it at a couple points of time of your life, and I feel like, I don't know, that's again, it's like another one of those places where I think I'm like I'm not destined to be like, ooh, I'm so literature smart, is because I so often, like, my reasons for going back and reading books, like one of the reasons I always thought I was very bad at like reading comprehension is like not the best bar, like English class in high school, right? Where you're in the class and they're like, what does it mean when he says the river ran? And I'm like, maybe it just means that there was a river there. Like, and it was going, and everybody in the class would be like so deep with like the symbolism and like all the things it could mean. And I'd be like, but what if, hear me out, they just had to go and there was a river?
What if it's just a sled? What if it's just a sled?
I know. See, I know that that's like the case, but it's just not something, that's not the way I like to read. I don't typically read for the depth, especially trying to dig for what the author meant. I want to read for what I cared about, but what was meaningful to me.
I call BS because however many episodes we've done of this show already belies that. You are very astute in your sort of subtextual observation. You are able to pry out meaning and relevance that I often miss. So
it's not
you
that
sell
I
yourself
can't.
short.
I appreciate that, but I guess it's like that's the kind of sort of like reading detectiveness that I like. And so I'm invested in it. But when it's like my high school class trying to say what the color blue means, I'm like, well, that's not the part I cared about. The part I cared about was like, here's what I brought to the table, and that's how it affected me. I don't care what the author's intent was, like 99.9% of the time. And except for in a book like this, where we're trying to like put those pieces together, and it's more like being detectives and not like deeper, talking about Steven's deeper intent.
You and I have talked about this on the other podcast that we do, the paid DLC show that we do on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. I think that, and this is a whole other thing that we could spend hours on, is I think this is more, there's a problem with the education system more than anything else, because the reason you're talking about the color blue in your high school English class is because someone thought it was relevant and interesting, not because there's some, indictment of your ability to glean meaning. It's like, no, it was interesting to somebody. And so we're trying to teach it to our youth because it's interesting, and that's all we're doing on this podcast is it's interesting. This stuff that's happening in these novels is interesting, and we're pulling out the stuff that's interesting. And you're saying, oh, I only care about what's interesting to me. Well, yeah, but there was another person who thought the other thing was interesting to them, so they put it in the curriculum.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I want to be clear. I like to talk about everything that people thought was interesting to them. I don't like being told you have to analyze the color blue. I see exactly what you're saying. I didn't mean to like bring it back to that reductive space. You're right. I agree with you 100%.
Well, we should probably move on and talk about the color blue in Memories of Ice. There's a lot of blue in ice,
What is the symbolism of ice? Let's discuss.
I'm excited to talk about this book. It starts off with a bang. So let's get into it and start with spoilers starting now. And we are discussing, ladies and gentlemen, the prologue and the first 2 chapters of Memories of Ice, the first book of, I wrote it down. The Spark and the Ash? Is that what it's called? The Spark and the Ash?
Oh, no. I don't recall.
Anyway, we got the prologue in the first 2 chapters of the first book in the first novel. Prologue. Scene 1. We are hundreds of thousands of years ago, before the events of either of the 2 novels we've read before. We are in the middle of the 33rd Jagged War. And it's bad. The Imas are hunting down the Jagged, We are with a couple of supreme badasses, it seems, who are, well, first, what they do is they observe a metaphor laid out right before them of these poor animals that have gone extinct, that were trapped in the mud, and they're relating it to their own experiences. I thought that was kind of a beautiful way to start the novel, is, you know, these guys kind of musing on the fact that, hey, what are we? Are we the trap? Are we the mud? Are we the animals? What are we? What did you think of that?
I thought, yeah, it was beautiful. It reminded me actually of conversations I had standing around the La Brea tar pits.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, wow, they sure died because of all that tar.
They just wanted to go over there.
Yeah.
And that was a bad decision.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I'll be honest, it took me like a minute to like get my bearings. Even though it's only been like our 2-week break, I feel like I had to rewire my brain a couple times to be like, okay, focus, Paszynski. So at this point in the novel, I was very much like, wait, who are they? What are they doing? Oh yeah, I have to not care.
Well, I mean, I got to tell you, I started caring real quick in the prologue because we meet a jagged mother who is escorting her 2 kids through one of the most horrific experiences those kids. Actually, it's going to get way more horrific for them momentarily, but it started bad. They're being hunted. They're being hunted to extinction. They're the last of their clan, evidently. I don't know what her plan is, but it's one of those things that was immediately evocative to me, because it's like, you know, a parent just trying to keep her kids alive. Like, there is no plan. They just got to try to keep them alive. And this is horrible. And I don't know what to do. Thinking that maybe she should just end their suffering herself. She's being hunted by these 2 dudes, but what she actually runs into is not them, but this bone caster from not from a clan, who has sort of peeled off from any clan and is going lone wolf style.
Going rogue. Yeah,
or lone panther style. I don't know. She's dressed like a panther. And offers her a deal.
Yeah.
Which I thought that whole scene was so chilling. Was like, aren't you going to ask me for a deal? And she's like, you never accept it. You just murder us. And she's like, well, actually, I want to make a deal.
Yeah. It's so chilling because it speaks so much to like what has been happening up to this point. Like, you can imagine hundreds of cases of people being like, please, like, I will do anything. Just don't slaughter me instantly. And they're like, no.
Or just don't slaughter my kids. Murder me, but don't murder my kids. Like, no, all of you are dying. And really interesting. So we have this mother with her 2 children. The bone caster looks like she just gave birth also.
Yes. Yeah.
Feels like there's something going on there. She's still able to breastfeed the children. So, you know, we cut away. We don't know the details of the bargain, but clearly the mother gives up her children for a chance to save them, and you know, gives them to the bone caster. And then this Pran Chol fella finds the jagged mother, and he's like, where are your kids? She's like, just kill me. She's like, where are your kids? She's like, ha 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 ha, I'm so smart. She's like, what? Yeah, I gave him to that person that betrayed you guys. And she's like, well, what's she going to do? She's like, she's going to throw them in that warren, that sick warren. She's like, what? Yeah, the Amtos Falak warren that I totally identified as the Amtos Falak. It's totally the Amtos Falak. And he's like, oh, you fool! You fool! You just signed your kids up for endless suffering.
An eternity of pain. Yeah.
And she's like, says that what now? Oh, what are they?
I love that Lana Mas being like, trying to like, you know, deduce by reduction or whatever. I can't think of the right term right now. Where you're like, well, it can't be this one, can't be this one, can't be that one. It's gotta be that other one. Yeah. It doesn't look like it, but it's gotta be.
I'm like 90% sure it's that one.
Meanwhile, as soon as it's like, oh, this red welt in the sky, I'm like, ruh-roh.
Yeah. Just quick important safety tip. Never stuff your 2 kids into the big red welt that's pulsing in the sky. Just a just for future reference.
Yeah.
I thought it was
All the
cool
parents
though. She
out
like
there.
literally throws them into it.
I know.
That I guess that was. I may have had that backwards. That Pranshul doesn't confront. He confronts the bonecaster who did it, or is it the mom, or both?
It's the bonecaster who did it. So
yeah.
There is in the conversation with the mom, as far as I recall, he's like, "Where are your kids?" And she's like, "What kids?" And then she's like, "You'll, I sent them away. You'll never find them." Blah 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 blah. And he's like, "Okay, whatever." Stab. And then
they shoot 1,000 spears into her. Not 1,000, but like 6.
And then I think that dude and his bro, or they're girls, I forget which one is which, but they're like, "We gotta go because I'm pretty sure that she's going to that place starting with an M and Mourn. She's going to Mourn, and she's thinking it's something that it's not, and we gotta try and beat her before she shoves the kids in the hole." And so I think you're right. He suspects that that's going to happen, chases her down, and he's like, she's like, "Gotcha," and he's like,
already tossed him in there, already threw the kids in the pulsing red scar in the sky. He's like, "You did what now?" Yeah,
he's like, "Cool, great, yeah, great choice." Anyway, you
know what you did, right? So basically, the long and the short of it is, you seal a soul, you seal the bad person in the thing with a soul, and because we replaced the soul, bad person going to be let out. We don't know who the bad person is. Maybe you have a theory. I'm not really sure, but the funny part is him being like, she's like, well, his friends are, what we should do? He's like, well, we got time. We got time. It's not going to get out for a while, but when it does, everything dies.
Yeah.
So I thought that was incredibly powerful. I actually read that whole sequence twice. I got to the end and I was like, that was amazing. I'm going to read that again. And I, talking about rereading, I went back and just read through all that again, just to sort of, and clearly I recounted it wrongly here. So, I could probably have read it a third time, but anyway, I just thought it was so powerful, that desire to save the kids. We as the readers are, at least I was like, yes, she did make a bargain. Yes, the kids are going to be safe. Yes, the bonecaster did something good. There's this endless war, this 33rd war, this endless fighting between the Tilana Mas and the Jagged, and it's senseless, and they're murdering each other, and they're wiping each other out, and they're trying to eradicate each other. And we have one person that's willing to stand up and say, "No, I'm going to save these kids," and she completely botches it. It's just such a great swerve, and Erikson's so good at that. Exactly what I wanted to happen. What? It's the worst thing that could possibly happen? Oh, oops.
Yeah. And then obviously, like, immediately, I stopped reading after that, being like, okay, what do I remember from the last book about that guy going into it with the head? What released? Or because he found that thing, something was already released, and then he had to like fill it up again, and how the children are going to be released.
Yeah, I think
future, like
we find out more that the children have been released later. But we don't know the details of that. Anyway, I thought that was a really killer way to start the book. I was already jazzed. I was already like, this. Oh man, Memories of Ice is starting on 11,
starting strong.
Yeah, and then we get another section of the prologue, which is even more cosmic level. You've got these gods, Cruel and Draconis, who later on we realize is the guy who forged the sword that Animander Rake uses, and the sister of Cold Night. So these three deities that are super pissed that this mortal, this king, Kalor, is a real bad man.
Real bad boy.
Real bad man. He has enslaved 12 million people, which is like, it's just, enough's enough, dude. Come on, enough's enough. 12 million. And they have this plan to confront him and put a stop to it, but he knew they were coming, and so he was like, "Ha ha! You think you can free all my slaves? Guess what? I burned them. I incinerated all of them. So you can't have them. I win." Rough. And so they decide to curse him with immortal life. Well, he's a mortal who can't die. So it's like threading the needle
On
there,
the verge.
parsing.
Yeah.
It's like, isn't that the definition of immortal? No. Mortal, but you can't die. But that's immortal. No. You still have pain and suffering, and you lose your loves and all that stuff. They're like, you're getting screwed. And so he's like, yeah, you think you can curse me? I curse you. You don't curse me. I curse you. And so he curses all three of the gods. Curses a god, cruel to
be forgotten.
K-Rule. K-Rule sounds like a rapper. Let's be honest.
I agree.
That's why I'm going with cruel. Curses K-Rule to never be forgotten until their new album drops. And he curses Draconis to have the thing he creates turn on him. I think it's the sword. And then he curses the sister of Cold Night to be betrayed by somebody, right? To find a friend and then be betrayed by that friend. I love her. I love what she says. She's like, you know what? So be it. That's just the way it's going to have to be, because like, if I'm going to worry about being betrayed all the time, I'll be suspicious of everybody. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be that. But that was cool.
She's like, cool curse. Isn't that just life?
That's
right,
called
guys,
life
right?
in these streets.
Yeah.
You know, that's called
K-Rule
mo money,
knows.
mo
K-Rule
problems.
knows. Yeah. I thought that scene was so funny because, like, I know these three are like powerful gods coming to like, stop this other obviously very powerful guy, but them being like, we are banding together to put this curse on you. I'm like, oh, that's powerful. And he's like, you want to curse? I can just curse too. And I'm like, oh, is that? Well, I guess that's how cursing works. Anybody can just put a curse on somebody, I guess. You just have to say it at them, and then it becomes true.
Well, clearly this dude's very, very powerful.
Yes.
As immortal. But it was my favorite part was when they're like, 3 voices, 3 curses, and Calor's like, yeah, 1 voice, 3 curses. Boom.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's pretty rad. Not intimidated by the gods that are coming to stop you.
Yeah.
So clearly stuff there that is going to come back in a big, big way. I mean, there was a lot of stuff about the fallen god, which, it was summoned to Earth, and the summoners are like, we are bringing the god to Earth. Ah! And they're all dead. It's lots of sort of meta layer, cosmic layer stuff that I think is going to be big and play a big part.
Well, that was the scene though too, where they're like, okay, well, thanks for the curses. Anyway, we're trapping you in this warren forever. Is that the moment they did that, or was that later?
I don't know if Calor's trapped in they just through great pain and suffering to themselves, they create a warren to house
that whole continent.
Yeah, to house all the dead slave bones. I think.
And so here's
I think that's why when we've seen some of the warrens, they've been like, there's a lot of dead slave bones here.
Exactly. The Imperial Warren, they're like, it's just ash and then layers and layers and layers of bones. I'm like, that sounds like this, but this one's just fresh.
Yeah. Right. So I think that's the creation of maybe the Imperial Warren. Also, there's a one-eyed white wolf that is even more ancient than the Elder Gods. That's checking it all out and is like, oh man, I'm gonna go find my girlfriend.
Yeah. Seems bad. Babe?
Yeah. So clearly that wolf is a big deal. I don't know what about the wolf, but
well, I was thinking, because I couldn't recall. I know it was like literally the last book. My brain, I have such a bad memory. The wolf, there was a white wolf in the first book named Blind, wasn't there?
Is that
Sorry,
a wolf, or is that
book.
one of the hounds of?
The Hounds of Thing. I assumed they were like the same thing.
I don't
or
think
related.
this is a Hound of Thing. I think this is.
But the thing doesn't
Hounds of
exist
Shadow.
yet.
It's possible. I think this is the same wolf that we get a tiny little POV section of that like wakes up Talk the Younger. But I could be wrong about that too.
Yes. I assume they were all the same wolf.
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't think. I think the hounds are different, but you could be totally right.
Yeah. Oh man, when Talk the Younger woke up, I was like,
"Oh, dude, I thought of you."
I was like literally danced.
I was like, Lana's been waiting for Talk to show up. Meow, 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 meow. You know. Yeah. So we haven't gotten there yet. So the first thing we see in chapter 1, actual chapter 1, this is the prologue's over. Chapter 1 has started. But I think that like I said, I texted you when I read the prologue. I was like, "This, dude, we are in high gear. We're just rocking." Mm-hmm. I'm so excited. But chapter 1 starts with a new group of characters from the POV of Gruntle, and they're at this caravan that's all these merchants. They're stuck. Raced the tyrant, the jagged tyrant from Gardens of the Moon, who went on a destruction spree before he was snuffed out.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
So, like, we know that 100% happened from reading the first book, but some of the people are like, they said that happened, right. But then they said he was in the city, but then nothing really happened.
I didn't see any giant tyrant destroying the city.
Like, supposedly there were demons and dragons and stuff, but everything seems like fine now.
Somebody would have gotten a picture of it.
Exactly.
You're telling me Godzilla destroyed this entire city and no one took a picture of it? Yeah, but clearly this bridge is destroyed. It's causing this complete backup. You know, the traffic's on the 5s and 10s. It's not everybody is the. It's not good looking good for your drive time commute. You know what I'm saying? And so our I'm just in a goofy mood today. I don't know what it is. Our boy Gruntle gets summoned by Beauchalon. That's how I'm going to pronounce it.
Beauchalon. Bonjour.
Beauchalon. And Beauchalon tells Gruntle that his boss has been prying into his business. And he's like, but hey, I got a proposition for you. Come over here. Check out this sick crater I found that I think is where the Jagged Tyrant climbed out of where it was freed. He's like, hey, we want to explore this. Do you want to go down into this freaky tomb? And Gruntle's like,
you got to be our guard. He's like a caravan for hire security.
Yeah. Right? Gruntle's like, not particularly.
He's like, maybe for money.
Yeah. I do like money. Yes. Mm-hmm. And he goes back to check with his boss. These folks clearly are going to come back. I don't know what to make of this, but they seem like a fun group. I like these guys.
I like these guys, and I like this like weird boss who's like this all-seeing boss. He goes to talk to him, and he's like, "Do it. Don't talk to me about it. They'll get a bonus if they don't fight in the tavern." And he's like, "Yeah, okay." Like, he didn't have to almost give any information to him, and then even like it was a bit disorienting when he went to go talk to the people who were like, "Oh yeah, time to like come over to the crater." He's like, "I don't appreciate your boss looking around over here." And I'm like, what do you mean? How is he looking?
Yeah, that was really cool.
But he's like scoping the situation. So his boss clearly has some kind of magical eyeballs around the zone.
He just sits in his dark carriage and in the dark and like spies on people remotely, which is pretty rad. And it's so funny. He's like, yeah, I'll give you a bonus if your friends don't fight. And he's like, but my friends love to fight. Like their favorite thing to do is fight. So anyway, so Gruntle and the gang, I think we're going to see more of, but not in these sections. We're off to your boy Talk the Younger. I was so excited when Talk showed up, woken up by a wolf. The one-eyed wolf finds Talk and decides to wake him up. Talk's like, what happened? And he's like, how long have I been out? Well, based on the string of my bow, which what a cool, like how rad are you? Of like, I can tell time by how dried out the gut string is.
It was such a great, and also like my memory of like who and what Talk was. I'm like, oh yeah, he's like not a mage, and he's not like a fighter guy. I'm like, what was he? Just a claw, kind of?
He's a spy.
Yeah, he's a sneak. He's a little rogue.
Yeah.
And so me, like him waking up and talking through things also helped me be like, oh, right. That's who Talk is. That's why. Yeah.
Such an awesome sequence where he's literally having a conversation with himself.
Yeah.
Like giving himself a pep talk and talking. Like the way that was written, I loved it. The alternating between the italicized sort of self-talk and the unitalicized, but still sort of in his POV, and him being like, "Oh, snap out of it, dude! Oh, come on, you can't think like that."
He has such like a personality, like so distinct, because we don't see a lot of other people. We've seen it a couple times, but this is like, I think, the most use of like the internal self-talk that we've seen in a character, and that's like a cool little talk tick.
Talk the Younger.
A cool little Talk the Younger. Exactly what I was going to say.
But he is there in Morn. He sees the big pulsing red scar in the sky. So he's at the place that the prologue took place, which is not insignificant. Finds a mound in the ground. He's walking around. And then he literally stumbles on our boy Tool, who's like a hilarious, awesome scene of Tool.
I laughed
like
out loud.
You did?
I did.
These bones on the ground, and the best part is Talk is like constantly having to force himself not to kick it. He's like, I want to kick it. I want to kick those bones. Don't kick it. Don't kick the bones.
Like, I just like that he's like, what are you doing? He's like, Tool's like covered in dust, so he's always just been lying there in a pile for who knows how long. And he's like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm free. And his internal talk is like, free to do what? Just, like lie around the ground? Like, what are you talking about?
You're free. I'm living it up. I'm living the dream. I'm doing it.
And then eventually he's like, can you please like just stand up if you're going to keep talking to me so I don't kick you?
And then he immediately regrets asking him to stand up. He stands up and he's like, giant sword. He's like, I really should have let him lie down.
You know what? So you're funny. Much freakier like this. That whole interaction was just so charming.
It's just amazing. He's like, should I kick the undead power monster? Should I? Oh, I want to kick it. The crazy undead immortal being.
I bet it would jangle around real nice.
So great. Like, as much as you have built up the return of Talk the Younger on many episodes, like, is that Talk? Are we going to get Talk? When's Talk coming? His return could not have been more satisfying, in my opinion. Like, it's so great.
I agree.
But Tool is not even the most interesting person he bumps into. Because sure enough, we get, as Mr. Erikson kind of teased himself in our interview with him, Lady Envy, who is immediately very intriguing character. She shows up with two dogs, one that is horse size and another that is a little smaller. But she's like, hey, and she's the daughter of Draco. In the most, I would say, Tolkien-esque moment that Erikson has had so far in these three books. The first time I was like, this is like Tolkien, where she walks up and she's like, I am Lady Envy, daughter of Draconis, wielder of the sword of, I was like, oh, that's so classic, like
classic fantasy intro. The classic Tolkien
Ray
fantasy
carries the
intro.
sword my father wielded, and I am, But awesome.
Like, okay, lady, I didn't ask for your life story. Okay.
I mean, actually, technically, I think Tool identifies that, or Hawk does, or she's like, I know you. Whatever the case. But I thought that was cool. Where it's like, in Tolkien, everybody is introduced by their lineage. But very cool that she has a sister, Spite, Envy and Spite. It's like, oh, is that the Bashinsky sisters at a certain age?
Oh Oh God, I'll have to clip that and send that to my sister. That's funny. But also like envy and spite. I'm like, man, you really want to have a difficult upbringing. You really want to have struggled to raise your children, naming them envy and spite.
Yeah.
You know?
I call my kids envy and spite, but not to their face.
Yeah. Exactly. You get it. You get it.
Yeah. But she seems awesome. And she evidently used to roll with some pretty cool people. She used to roll with Caladan Brood and Amanda Rake, right? So she rolls large.
She's with it.
Huh?
She's with it.
She's with it. She's clearly going to be a major player.
Yeah.
And we've got these awesome Segule. Is that how we're going to pronounce it? Segule?
Yeah. Segule.
Segule? Segula?
Segule.
Segula?
Segula?
Man. We got to get Erikson back.
Segula.
Segula. It's just a regular Segula. They seem rad. New group of people, new faction of folks. They kind of remind me of like samurai or something, where they have these masks that denote their rank, and they're super worried about the hierarchy of who is better than who. And they're just constantly like, they're looking at Tool like, I could take that dude. I got to find out if I can take that dude.
I love it. It's like the, what's it called? The Omega, like the lowest on the totem pole, whatever he is.
Yeah.
Like, oh, is he talk to you? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, that's because he's like, do the others talk to you? And she's like, no. It's like, that's because they think they're better than you.
Yeah. The one that talks to you, he talks to you because he sucks.
Yeah. And it immediately changes like your perception of what this guy is. You're like, oh, who's this dude? He must be a badass. And then he's like, you want the real thing?
Yeah.
Hey, Tool. You want the real thing? He's like trying to pick a fight with the biggest dude in the room. And then they're like having a conversation, and Tool just annihilates him with the flat of his blade. It's like, hey man, challenge over. Okay. Talk to everybody you want, buddy.
I absolutely loved how that scene played, and it's so beautifully staged because you have the Segula's like, huh? Did you flinch? You flinch? You flinch? and Lady Envy's like, no, Ixnay on the Ait Fae. Nobody does that. And then she's like, okay, we're going inside. We're going in the tower. No fighting. She walks in the tower. They stay outside. And then you see the body fly through the door. It's like, it's so beautifully staged because as soon as they're out of her sight, he's like, we're doing this. And then Tool just decks the dude.
It's like, it's beautifully staged. You said it perfectly. I just could picture it instantly. Like the second it happened, I could so clearly see that moment and see like are you done? You're done. You are done.
As soon as mom is not looking, the kids fight,
Yeah.
That's so great.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So
such a great balance of horrifying things and hilarious moments.
But that's what he does so well. That's what these books are so good at.
Yeah.
All right. So how does that end? Oh, they're gonna travel north on heading toward the Panian Domain. And I'm not exactly sure. Is Panian Domain a group, a person, a place,
a fight?
Like a movement? Like I'm not really sure. Is it a ideology? Like what? Because he's like, we're headed toward the Panian Domain. Is it? I know that it's this religious cult or sect or movement or whatever that is systematically kind of taking over parts of the world, and everyone is recognizing it as a threat. And so that's why Dujek, One Arm, is trying to ally with Caladan and others to try to because we're all going to get wiped out by Panian Domain. But is Panian Domain, what is that name reference? Do you understand?
No, I don't. I thought maybe it's just that I read it in this one, and it's got such a way of reading that it makes me feel like I've seen it before. I feel like it was lightly referenced in probably the first book. I don't know. I'm sort of with you where I'm like, I guess we'll find out. But
Yeah.
my brain is like the Vatican equivalent, where it's like a city,
Yeah.
but it also houses a specific religion, and there's like a specificness to it.
Well, I was wondering if it's sort of like the chain of dogs in that it is this roving, conquering force. You know, it is a group that isn't necessarily in one place. We can head toward it because that's where we know they're sort of
going
systematically taking over everything.
And that's interesting, and that seems very plausible, because the naming of sort of war groups, and not just like, oh, you know, the wild dogs or whatever, like from the last book, like people called that, oh, that's Coltane's chain of dogs. Everybody referred to it as the chain of dogs for the rest of the book, basically, once it came up.
Right.
And then we got Dujak's host.
Right.
And then so maybe it is another sort of like, maybe Panion's a person and this is his domain. I don't know.
Panion's domain.
Panion's domain.
Welcome
And
to
then
Panion's
Panion
domain.
more.
You should try the soup.
I don't think it's that, but I think you might be right in that it's like a roving region.
Another thing I want to pluck out of the scene before we move on is that they're talking about this rent in this guy, this Warren, and Lady Envy says it's almost mechanical.
Yeah.
Which that was all immediately sparked my imagination, because like we haven't really, other than Icarium's sort of clockwork constructions, there hasn't really been technology per se. You know, there hasn't been any kind of mechanical anything in these novels yet.
Yeah.
So I think that's fascinating, and it may even be a hint at it is associated with Icarium in some way, because he's the only person that we know of that made mechanical things.
That's interesting. When she said it's almost mechanical, I definitely didn't take it literally, but that seems likely. I took it as like, oh, it's mechanical. You put a soul in for torture, it spits one out.
Maybe that is it. Maybe that is more of a metaphor than anything else. But I was excited that it was like, oh, is there gonna be like a clockwork kind of.
I like your interpretation better than my interpretation.
All right, so Talk and Tool are going to join, or Lady Envy is going to join Talk and Tool heading north toward Panion Domain. So here we go.
Yeah.
Chapter 2. We are hanging out with Picker. I love this scene very much. Picker and what's the other girl's name? Begins with B. Blend. Picker and Blend. Two of the bridge burners that are, you know, kind of guarding this area, and they meet this strange, goofy, waggle-toothed traitor named Munug. I love when she's like, "What's your name?" Munug. She's like, "Oh man, that's unfortunate."
Bummer, dude.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I just love that this scene immediately is like, oh, you thought all bridge burners were the super elite? No, some of them are dum-dums.
We got a couple of goofballs in the team as well. Yeah, it's fun. But I love how this scene plays out. It's so great. The interplay between Picker and Blend, the way the artist, the trader, like deals with, you know, talks about the wares. And he's like, I got this cool thing. It was, it was enhanced by a god. And they're like, oh, sick. How did you do it? So I just wrapped it in some stuff for weeks. And these interlocking ivory bands. And Picker's like, I gotta get me that. That goes with my outfit. This is rad. And was blessed by Treach, the Tiger of Summer, which was a first hero, not a full-on god, but a demigod, a soul-taken ascendant, who has been stuck in its soul-taken form for hundreds of years. But she's like, I want this.
She's
somehow
like,
we've got hundreds of dollars to give you, hundreds of these new coins to give you.
Yeah.
So
I like
I'm
that
buy
she's
it.
just like, she's like, what god is it? Nah, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That scene it's such a lovely little moment to drop in on. This kind of negotiation. It felt very D&D to me. Like you're hanging out with the merchant. You're going to try to negotiate. He's like, I gotta charge you enough to live my whole life on. She's like, oh yeah, we got that right over there. No problem.
Yeah. And the beauty of the reveal I thought was so nice because the characters in general, Picker and Blend, neither of them, we hadn't heard their names before as part of the Bridge Burners.
I feel like
maybe we had.
Picker we had heard in the first novel, but maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe we had. I had ejected it from my memory. Okay, so it was fresh.
Fair.
But yeah, very disguised self, cover in dust, and then the reveal of I'm rolling up my sleeve, and you see the deep burgundy of what my clothes actually are.
Yeah.
And everybody knows what that means to wear that color. And it's like, yeah. Oh, sorry. You didn't notice? We're bridge burners.
Yeah.
Was like
So
such a
rad.
funny, even like the way she revealed it was like clearly so impactful, but she was so cavalier about it. It was just, there's a lot of interesting dynamics at play.
I love the interchange between Picker and Blend. They're fun. They're laughing at each other, making fun of each other. Picker's like, oh my God, is this thing cursed? And Blend's like, oh, I bet that's cursed. She's like, why didn't you warn me? She's like, I didn't think of it until you said it.
Yeah.
So funny. And we cut to Monug having done that, and he's like, oh, those fools. And he goes through a warren and walks into a tent with the crippled god, which seems pretty significant in that book 10 is titled The Crippled God. So feels pretty significant that we're meeting him now. And he is not too good a shape, coughing, chained, unhappy. He's like, hey, did you make that sick deck of cards for me? And he's like, yeah, I did. And let me check them out. Oh yeah, each of these cards is suffering and sadness and unhappiness, and it's just what I wanted. Seems cool. He's like, the game starts now. You've made a new deck. So I don't think we've heard about the deck of dragons or any deck of cards in any part of Deadhouse Gates, unless I'm mistaken. But it was a big part of Gardens of the Moon.
Deadhouse Gates, Kalam got through the deck of dragons got thrown at him.
Oh, that's right. And they found the pillars that were like pre-deck of dragons, but like did the same thing. You're right. Anyway, it feels like this is a big deal. And then we go back to Picker and Blend, who meet with our buddy Quick Ben.
Yeah.
So good to see Quick Ben back. And they're like, hey, I got this thing. It's definitely not coming off my arm. Can you help? Also, we put one of your trackers in this dude. And they're hanging out with the Moranths. They're doing some kind of major military action with Whiskey Jack and the Moranths, the flying bug people.
Yeah.
Which I was excited to see them back too.
So one of the questions I had, right after this, Quick Ben goes and he's like, oh man, you can't, let me check out where you left this pebble because this seems bad.
Yeah.
And he goes and scopes it out. And then the crippled god is like, what's up? Oh, you want this? You want this pebble? Yeah, well, you got to come, stick around. Talk to me for a minute.
But also, I have your pebble, so I have some kind of control
power over you.
Yeah.
And I had one question about the crippled god. That's not is that the guy we saw at the beginning? Is he trapped in this warren? That is who I assumed it was the guy at the beginning who
You mean Calor?
But the Calor.
The mortal who got cursed?
Yeah. And then how long has it been? I assume that people referred to him as the crippled god, but I could be wrong.
They specifically made him not a god.
Yeah.
So
maybe that means that's why he's crippled.
Think that.
Is
that Calor?
I don't remember them describing that warren as there's all the bones and the ash. when
it's
the
different.
guy hobbled into it. And so that's the thing that made me think it was different. But I wasn't sure if it was intended to be the same guy or not.
This is what I was talking about at the beginning. You're finding this meaning when I'm not. And it does track in that if you're mortal and you are forced to live forever, you're just going to be sickly and, you're just going to be continue to deteriorate, but you can't die. That
and
may
then
be
maybe
it.
like he just turns into loving pain. Like that's his whole thing. So I killed all those people. I loved it. Now I'm experiencing all this pain. You put curse on me. Guess what?
Dude,
I love it.
You might be right. I didn't even put that together. And folks who've read the books already, don't tell me if we're right or wrong, because I want to find out in due time.
Please don't.
But it feels like you're right. You're right.
Felt like a connection to me. We set it up in the prologue, and now we're
well, it does. He does seem to be set up as a major antagonist in that he was a very, very bad man who killed 12 million people, which is not a small number.
Yeah. And like clearly just like disgusting person. He's like, oh, fine. Thank you. Here's your reward. I can finally cure the tumors that I assume he gave him. And then the guy experiences incredible pain. And he's like, well, now my legs don't work. He's like, yeah, sucks. That's part of it. That was, I had to, there's no way for me to just cure it.
Yeah.
Something had to happen. So now he has to crawl his way.
Tumors are good though. Tumors are gone. Legs don't work, but tumors are gone. Yeah.
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 But
brutal.
The scene with Quick Ben, I love, because this is like the second time in the books that he's come face to face with like a god type person.
Yeah.
And then rather than having any like real interaction, he's like, smoke bomb, give me that. Like puts like ash or whatever, like fire in his face. Like the first time with Shadow Throne, where he's like, by the way, I'm Quick Ben. Peace. Thanks for everything. And like dips out instantly. Quick Ben's thing is like, what's that? And like running away.
He ain't called Slow Ben.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I do. I know exactly what you're saying. It's so good.
He is awesome. Yes.
I love him.
And I think he's being built up. I mean, he's the one person that can control multiple Warrens. He's got so many, he can only open 7 at a time, but he does it. And I love, again, the staging of this is rad because we're like in mid-conversation. He's like, oh, really? Crippled God? Yeah, is that what? Boom! And it just like, it literally, there's a dash at the end of a line that the crippled God is saying, and he just unleashes all. He's like, oh, are you going to use my pebble to?
Oh no, my pebble.
He just rips open all 7 Warrens at once, unleashes this torrent of sorcery, and then in the wake of it, like shoots it all at him, and then sprints in the wake of the sorcery, pokes him in the eye, is like, like total Three Stooges style, just and then grabs the pebble and bolts.
I forgot it was all his Warrens that he unleashed. Yeah.
Unleashed 7 Warrens. And then the crippled God's like, oh, no, you don't, buddy. I am going to use my sorcery to pull you back. Quick Ben falls to the ground, fingers in the dirt, like pulling back. He's like, I'm screwed. Giant hand from under the earth.
Well,
comes up.
He's got fingers in the dirt, and then he's clawing the dirt. And he's like, that's not dirt. Like blood is welling up.
Yes.
Ugh.
So this is the part that things just get even more bonkers because this massive hand grabs him, pulls him under the dirt. He's suffocating from all the dirt. He gets to this underground place where these giant 15 times the size of a person beings with diamond skin,
clay and diamonds.
Yeah, like trying to hold up this ceiling that looks like rib cage.
The rib cage, yeah.
And, every every chapter has had a date that is since Burn's sleep, right? So we've been seeded this notion of Burn being this massive goddess that is sleeping, that is underneath the planet, basically. And he's inside her, is my reading?
Yeah. I was like, it was like...
And she's dying.
My brain was like, okay, this is some kind of pseudo pregnancy. These are her children.
Oh, interesting.
Like
didn't
that's
get
the only
that.
way I could picture, like, they're inside of her, but they're holding up her rib cage. It's like, if
Yeah.
they're people living inside her body, my brain goes to like a
Birthing.
birthing space.
Well, I kind of read them as more as like guardians that are doing everything they can to keep her alive. Like, because
I read that
she's
as
being killed.
well.
Yeah.
I sort of, those two ideals sort of stacked on top of me. Like, okay, what if you were a massive goddess and you, like, so large that while you're sleeping, there's fully formed massive beings that live within you. But yeah, they're like holding up her ribs, and one of them even died while Quickben was talking to her, right?
Yeah.
And then as she died, the rib that she was holding up also crumbled.
Right. And so he's like, we may have 10
They're like-
years, tens of years, but not
Yeah.
a long time until everybody's dead.
I loved that they're like, you have to hurry. This is so urgent. It's happening soon. So soon. You have to help us. And he's like, how soon? And they're like, oh my God, only tens of years. And he's like, okay, yes, I see why that is very fast for you.
Yeah.
Immortal
Yeah,
being, like,
for gods, for immortals, that's a blink of an eye. Yeah.
Yeah. But for me,
cool. Yeah.
I have some time to figure out how to help and what helping even means.
Yes.
Yeah.
He swears that he's going to help her. And so there seem to be some clues as to what is causing Byrne to die in this way, but I don't think we know for sure.
Yeah.
But Quickben, even though he doesn't know how to help, swears he will help, and comes back, and Picker's like, "Hey, dude, you were out for a while. What's everything okay?" And he's like, "No, everything is not okay."
Yeah.
And she's like, Picker goes, "I've never seen you so scared. You look like you're ready to piss ice cubes."
Yeah.
I was like, that was awesome. And then that section ends with Quickben being like, that's the last thing he heard, and he remembered that sentence forever. It's like, I will too. I will too.
Yeah. And Quickben said, memories of ice cubes.
Oh, see,
and that's why the book's called that. That's why it's
this entire book is about Quickben remembering what Picker said that one time. The last chapter is like, and Quickben remembered memories of ice. We meet back up with another of our friends from the first novel, Perrin.
Mm-hmm. Actually, just before we move on, just because we're talking about it, and we've mentioned it in the other two books, this was, I think, the earliest in a book that the actual title of the book has appeared.
It
was like the first 3 pages where it's talking about the Jagged ice.
Yeah.
Like this world needing sort of like an ice age, and so it's like the Jagged's magic that is being like caused this ice, and now it's all melting, and the Jagged are becoming extinct. So it's like the memories of the Jagged ice magic. As far as I can tell, I could be wrong about that, but it did say memories of the ice or memories of ice in like the first page. So cool.
Yeah,
that's all.
So Perrin is not doing so hot. He is still trying to command the bridge burners as captain, but he's got rumblies in his tumblies. He's because he touched the hound, which at the time worked out well, but he's got some sort of residual detriment going on. There's intense amount of pain he's in, and he can't get over it, but he still wants to lead the bridge burners. And then we have this interesting scene. Whiskey Jack shows back up with Mallet the healer. Mallet's trying to heal Whiskey Jack. Whiskey Jack's leg is in bad shape.
Mm-hmm.
And Perrin has this amazing moment where he's like, Tattersail. I remember Tattersail. Which is, I think, I was very excited to hear, just to read the word Tattersail again and to think, oh, she's coming back in some big way. And I gotta believe that something that we've been seeing with the ancient bone casters and babies being put, because we know that Tattersail was reincarnated as a bone caster baby.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's some connection tie-in that Tattersail is involved there as one of those kids or as a kid of one of those kids or something.
Yeah, I could see that being like, oh, one of those children got spat out of that rift at just the right time that she needed a soul or a place for her soul to live.
Yeah. And we meet this very odd, well, I don't know if we've met him before. Maybe we met him, the bridge burner, who is that big dude who's like kind of going insane and talking like really loquacious and just nonstop talking. What did you make of that, dude?
I was like, this was one of the things where I was like, man, I should go back and just read the persona dramate persona of the first book to be like, who did all the people that I met from the first one? Because I feel like there was something that caused that in the first book, and we did meet him, but it was something that was sort of like, yep, that happened over there to somebody we don't care that much about.
Is that Trots? Am I getting that right? Is that Trots? Yeah.
Yes, it's Trots.
Yeah.
So that was sort of what I made of it, is wishing that I remembered more about him, because I remember reading the word Trots a bunch, but I don't remember like his sanity level in the first book being a thing.
Right. Yeah. It was an interesting sequence that I'm setting on a shelf in my brain and waiting to see how we learn more about that. But the big takeaway from that sequence is that Whiskey Jack is about to have a parlay with Caladan Brood. They're about to go and sit down and hash out some kind of agreement to deal with the Penny and Doman, which is pretty cool. And that Perrin is in, Mallet's like, hey, you know how your leg is really bad? Well, guess what? Perrin is real bad. My Warren was like, danger, man is gonna die. My Warren of healing was like, this dude needs immediate medical attention. So we don't. So something is inside Perrin that's wrong.
Yeah. And they were, I think they even said, like, we got to where the heck is Quickben? Like, he's the one who needs to be investigating this, because my Warren was like, ooh.
Yeah. Well, you got to imagine that one of Quickben's numerous masteries is the Warren of Healing also. So he can, like, check it out. But then Whiskey Jack, gets on his bug thing and flies off. And that's where we end the chapter. So we're going to meet up with Caladan Brood in some way. We got lots of really juicy stuff starting already. We've checked back in with a lot of beloved characters from the first novel. I'm like in the groove for Memories of Ice. There's so much new stuff. There's like new characters already introduced, old faves that are back, really juicy sort of giant god stuff to reckon with. It's like, man, this book is just starting off on a high level, I think.
It definitely, like, immediately. So, I mean, I was already jazzed to start the book because of how many people are like, this is my favorite book in the series before we even began. And then, like, in the prologue being like, there's so many pieces of information, that I think the thing that actually got my head back in the game, I think it's Quickben, or I forget which character said it, but there's literally one line that's like, what is it? Like, what are all these pieces? Like, how is this even relevant? And then it said, I guess I'll wait and see. And I was like, right, that's what I have to do. Like, the character is telling me, cool it. But I am so excited that it's starting off so strong, and very excited to be with these characters again and see what they've been up to.
Totally. Yeah. I'm super excited about meeting Lady Envy and this, like, talk and Lady Envy and Tool traveling together thing I feel like that's going to be so much fun. And I'm so excited about the Bridge Burners and Whiskey Jack and how all that military angle stuff is going to start playing out. And then we've got these new characters, the Merchants. Like, I feel like that's just starting. I don't even know what to make of that, but I feel like we're going to be invested in their stuff. And then Perrin, hopefully, is going to get healed, and we're going to find out what's wrong with him. And he also referenced Tavor, right? He knows that his
Yeah.
sister is the new adjunct. So I feel
Mhm.
like that's pretty juicy stuff too.
Yeah.
So excited. So excited to be back
Woo!
in Memories of Ice. Loving it. Okay. So let's talk about our favorite sentences of this section, the prologue and the first 2 chapters. I think next week we're going to be doing 3 chapters 3, 4, 5.
Mm-hmm.
What do you have a favorite sentence?
I do. I opened it up, but then I closed it again because I got it. As always, I have 2 favorite sentences. One is like a longer little bit, and then one is much shorter. Sorry, let me grab my mic here. One figure walked this landscape alone. Wrapped in rotting rags, he was of average height, his features blunt and unprepossessing. There was a dark cast to his face, a heavy inflexibility in his eyes. He walked as if gathering suffering onto himself, unmindful of his vast weight. Walked as if incapable of yielding, of denying the gifts of his own spirit.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Wait, what was the section about his eyes? His a what in his eyes?
A heavy inflexibility.
Inflexibility in his eyes. That is such a cool phrase. Love that.
I loved that section. And now, of course, I'm like, I don't even remember who that was talking about. I think it was like in the prologue. It was on page 10.
Yeah.
But I love that description of gathering suffering, like this thing that would weigh so much to other people. Like, I'm unmindful of the weight. I'm incapable of yielding. It's just
awesome.
I just love that. It's just a cool sentence.
I have one from when the younger is talking to Tool, and he's like, well, at least you know you found peace. And Tool is like, talk the younger. Tool interrupted. Do you mock me or your own ignorance? Not even the lichen of the tundra is at peace. All is struggle. All is war for dominance. Those who lose vanish. And talks like, and we're no different, you're saying? And he says, we are, soldier. We possess the privilege of choice, the gift of foresight, though often we come too late in acknowledging those responsibilities.
Tool's
Sick.
Cool.
So rad.
Yeah.
It's like it's all awful for everybody. And it's like, talks like, yes, I totally get it. Yes, we are also, no, you moron. It's so great.
I love like all of the exchange between them. I think there's a spot like right after that where he's like, what's his face? Who's he talking to? Tool and
Talk the younger.
Talk the younger. Talk the younger is like says something, and then Tool looks at him like, excuse me, and he was like, it's humor, it's a joke.
Oh yes.
And then right after, Tool says something like vicious, and he's like, what? And he goes, humor.
Yeah, no, it was so rad because he's like humor and talks like inner monologue is like, well, this is gonna be awful because this dude is humorless, and then he does the same thing. He goes humor and talks like, hey, this could be fun. I could have a good time with this dude. It was great.
Yeah. My other favorite sentence is very, very short. I just loved it as an insult. It's some of the bridge burners are talking to each other, and the Barghast is why am I so bad with these names? I gotta write them down. Trots is the Barghast, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, I think, Trots talking to anybody who's around him. He says, you, sapper, the Barghast said, are the scum beneath a pebble in a stream running through a field of sickly pigs.
Yeah. And the other guy's like, sick burn, a little long, but sick burn. That was great.
All of the bridge burner dynamics. I love like the relationship that you get and like the way that you insult each other and even the way that you don't take offense to these ridiculous insults or like the closeness of just being around each other constantly and not necessarily being friends. It's great. It's great.
All right, I have one more too that I think is just beautifully poetic. This is Perrin talking about how bad he feels. This is what I'm going to say. This is how I'm going to call in sick to work if I ever have to again. He felt as if his own soul had been reduced into something piteous, a bedraggled, sweat-smeared rat trapped within a rockfall, twisting and squirming through cracks in a desperate search for a place where the pressure, the vast shifting weight, relented. So I can't come into work today. That's how I feel. Sorry. But how beautiful
great.
is that? Like my soul, my very soul feels like a sweat smeared rat squished under rocks, struggling to get out, and it can't.
Yeah.
So I don't feel so good.
I need a personal day. Yeah. It's really more like a mental health day than
More
anything.
of a rat soul day. Such awesome prose. Such amazing prose. All right. We're coming up on the end here, but we like to leave you with a recommendation of a book that isn't one of the Malazan Books of the Fallen, something else we've read in the past that we can suggest if you're so inclined. Lana, what is your book recommendation of the week?
My book recommendation this week is, I'm pretty sure this is the first one. I hope I don't get this wrong. Is The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski. This is the first book in the Witcher series.
Oh,
so
I've never read any of those.
Oh my gosh. Then this recommendation is for you as well. They're great. I started reading them. I've never played any Witcher games. I know it's a popular series. I planned on watching it. So I was like, I'm going to make sure I read a couple of these books so I can really I like having the touch point to see what is good, different. Like, how does it line up with my imagination before I watch the shows?
Yeah.
And I think it actually greatly enhanced my experience of watching, especially the first series of The Witcher. It reads somewhat like a series of short stories that are kind of cut and put between each other. It's not like, oh, here's like the one seamless Witcher novel, which I can see exactly why it was a great candidate to get adapted into a video game, because there's all these quite different story beats.
Kind of episodic almost, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the fact that they're sort of spliced together is like, it makes her a very interesting read, but it also makes for some weird time jumpy stuff, which I think the show struggled. Well, people said it struggled. They were confused about the timing. The books are great. There's like 2, I think, books of the short stories back to back, and then 3 longer novels. I haven't read the 3 longer novels, but both of the short story books, The Last Wish, and I forget the name of the next one, but they're great. So great. So if you didn't even know they were a book, or you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend The Last Wish, Andrzej Sapkowski.
Very cool. My recommendation this week is going to be a book I read a number of years ago that I very much enjoyed. That's sort of a fictionalized telling of the beginning of the comic book industry. It's called The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon. Have you read that?
I just started reading it between the 2 books.
Oh, really? That's a weird coincidence.
That is a weird coincidence.
I loved this book. I loved it. I mean, it won a bunch of awards too. I'm not unique in that, but it's really beautifully written. It's really powerful. The truth of the matter is that the 2 guys that invented Superman, were Jewish and wanted to create a person that could, be the avatar to take down the Nazi threat. And the novel is very much about that. It's an analog to those guys and an analog to their. It's not actually Superman. I can't remember the name of the character they create in the book, but it's very much an analog to that story and just gorgeously written. It's only sort of peripherally about comic books. I picked it up because I love comic books, but it's so much more. It's about that time period and history and these guys and their lives, and it's lovely prose. It's just beautifully written. So I highly recommend The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay by Michael Chabon. All right. Go ahead.
One caveat I was going to say, I am certainly saying the author's name wrong for my book. I'm saying Andrzej. It's probably Andrzej, Andrzej. Andrzej. He's Polish, Sapowski. Sorry.
No worries.
That's all.
Oh, we strive for accuracy. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you being here with us. Like I said, next week, 3 chapters, if you're reading along with us, chapters 3, 4, and 5 of Memories of Ice. I'm excited to get back into it, but until then, we got to dance it out.
When the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality, open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the Book Club by DLC.